Danny, the way things are right now, for you, can it really be different?
Hmm. What a beautiful question. Thanks for putting me on the spot and asking me first.
Welcome to the Your Facilitator podcast.
Each episode, one question that inspires, shifts perspectives, and motivates to live fully.
Yeah, no, welcome back. Welcome back to the Wouter and Dan show and podcast. Your Facilitator, of course, is what we're creating here. But yeah, it's nice to see you again, Wouter, on camera and on audio. I've missed our little gap.
Yeah, we had a gap indeed, but now we're back, and I'm very pleased to see you as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
what is the topic?
Yeah, it's a beautiful topic, and the question that came to your mind and which you shared with me was, can it be different?
Yeah,
Can it really be different? And it's kind of beautifully broad in many ways because it's what is it? What is it that we're speaking about? Can it be different? If we really sit with that, can it be
yeah,
different? Can the past be different? Can we really, truly change that past? Is the present moment something that can be different?
can be different.
And our future, the unknown, the beautifully mysterious unknown future, can that actually be different? And so that's why we thought this topic today of can it be different could be a really great one for us to unpack and explore.
Absolutely, yeah. But if I speak to you now, Danny, right? You're sitting there in the UK, you're looking at a screen at me. I'm doing the same thing, but then in the Netherlands. Danny, the way things are right now, for you, can it really be different?
What a beautiful question. Thanks for putting me on the spot and asking me first. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be here only for probably 20 or 30 minutes. We want to keep these really sharp and precise, and we could really go into such a philosophical debate around this because it's essentially sometimes for me speaks to free will and our mind and kind of how life is. And to some extent, yeah, I mean, I sometimes might want to actually things to be different. I'd love to have this conversation with you next to you. I don't want to be on a computer screen. I don't want that to happen. I want to be with
Yeah,
my I want to be with my friend and be with you next to you with a coffee and having this conversation. Unfortunately,
yes,
I can't change that. You know, that
exactly.
I can change my mindset to that by saying, okay, next best thing is that I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity to be here on a video. Take
Yeah,
myself back 5, 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have been able to do this. Maybe, we could have, but internet connections, the ability to actually speak live time and see you live time. I'm really grateful actually for that. Um, and however, sometimes I'm looking at myself in this camera. I'm like, oh, this jacket. Am I really liking how this is? Am I liking how I'm positioned here on here? Do I really like the fact that we've not really got a picture in this frame yet? Can that be different? Yeah, I can just take this off. Really, I can.
well, it could change. It can
I
change, right? But if you just
can be different.
purely look in this very moment, now
Hmm.
your jacket is on, right?
Hmm.
Or now you're sitting there on that chair. You're
Hmm.
not sitting on some beach in a beautiful place on earth, right? Like if I ask a client who is struggling, for example, and I ask, can it be different? And often I hear the client say, yeah, for sure it can be different. Like if my boss wouldn't be such an asshole, then my life would be so much better right now. Or if I would have gone to the gym more often, then now I would be more fit and I would look healthier. But none of those things actually happened. That's the fantasy.
Hmm.
When your mind is playing a game that you feel like things should or could be different than the way things are, that creates some form of stress or pressure or suffering that is, in fact, not necessary because the way things are is the way things currently are. And just accepting that takes a lot of suffering away.
Yeah, it does. It does take a lot of suffering and tension away from the present moment where there's discomfort. What I'm really hearing, in terms of whether that's that boss that says, that you think is an asshole and you kind of got to accept it can't really change the fact that your boss is an asshole, but we can change certain things. You know, there are within our own limitations. Although we can't change majority of things, we have a capability of at least being able to change enough, like you said, to accept it, to accept just the way things are, is a very profound and powerful realization to have in the space where there is perhaps some suffering or tension or frustrations because you perhaps can't get that raise or that extra bit of work because your boss is an asshole. And okay, well, what else could I do? You know, we can explore some options and explore perhaps the mindset that we have also to it. And so I kind of like to explore it in that how if we have to accept this, that the past is the past, the present is the present, the future is going to be unknown, we don't know what's going to happen. How do we actually find that element of peace and like releasing of the tension? For me, it's always in the mind. It's a mindset shift. It's about an inwards shift of, okay, if I am able to see that I can't change this, then the relationship that I have to that needs to change. That relationship to the boss needs to perhaps change. Otherwise, it's going to keep causing me the same tension. And how do I do that? I perhaps do need to take a moment to breathe. Okay, calm my own nervous system down a little bit. Just contemplate a little bit on what is in my capabilities. If I'm still not ripped like I want to be, then it does really mean that right now I need to start doing some weights, or I need to do something about it to get to that future goal, that future trajectory that may or may not happen. But right now, in this moment, my mindset has to change to be on that journey of accepting I don't have a six-pack right now.
You don't.
But that's up to me to change that.
Yeah, indeed. And but then of course, like you talk about trajectory, and I think that's a beautiful word. And like when I like fully let that question sink in of can it be different? That's in fact the moment that offers me the opportunity to shift that direction. Because when the mind is in constant battle with how things are, the battle just continues. And even like, not going to the gym, for example, not taking care of yourself is in a way also a form of judgment, right? That then keeps perpetuating itself all the time because at some level you're not okay with how things are. And to me, that's such a beautiful and profound insight of really letting that question of can it be different resonate. Like, okay, yeah, it may not be optimal, the shape that I'm in. And we're not just talking about a gym, of course, but it can be anything. But like, okay, it may not be optimal, but let's just first completely accept that even though it may not be optimal, compared to certain standards, it is nonetheless what it is. And then breathe. Okay, this is what it is. It's not different. I am where I am. And that, to me, at least that's what I'm feeling. That then creates the space and the opportunity to kind of shift your direction in a way that more fits with who you want to be, who you really are, and so forth. Does it make sense to you?
It does, and we're sort of these sessions go really quickly when we can unpack and talk about this in so many different ways. But I really want to perhaps even offer a bit of a tip as well, because what you're pointing us to is that space and that stillness and silence to just breathe. And I think that's a big enough tip in itself. I question sometimes, why is it I'm going on this holiday? Well, I need a little bit of an escapism and some kind of distraction away from my everyday life. But also, there are wonderful times when we're almost coming up to summertime now, where many people might be breaking their normal patterns and going on a 1 week break or 2 week break. They just need to have some form of like moment to breathe away from the everyday. And that in itself can provide so much usefulness of information then around some of those things that perhaps haven't been working for the last period of life, where it's been busy. Things have been getting busier and busier with work and family and this, that, and the other. So finding that space to really deeply take a moment to just stop.
Yeah.
Actually just see how life really is. And that takes quite a bit of courage, actually, to really just take a moment to be in stillness and then, meditate, to be finding a place of stillness, to just look and see how your world and life really is right now, in its truth, in its beauty, but in its struggles and challenges too, because we are just human and we're not going to have the most perfect life always. And if we can create that, then I wish to shake the hand of that person. But what you're also pointing us to, I think, is a landscape of a mapping that we can utilize this in every sense of our life in many ways. That acceptance to everything, we can do that, whether it is our health and fitness, that's our work, it's our relationships, it's our kid, it's our self, it's life outside that's sunny today and raining tomorrow. We can lay that mapping across every aspect and find the same answer, and that's profound.
Yeah, it is. And indeed, I think we're converging on that stillness, right? And it also reminds me of this quote from Viktor Frankl. The quote is something like, "There's a space between stimulus and response, and then within that space, that's where your freedom lies." Something like that, right? So meaning that, like, there's a stimulus, you get triggered somehow, and what usually happens is that people automatically respond. So there's no space between stimulus and response, and then it feels very busy. And I think, like, these type of questions of, can it really be different? It separates that stimulus and response. You take a breath, and then there's this space in between that offers you some freedom to really contemplate on, hey, maybe I should not again do A, but let's do B, because that's really fits more with where I want to go with my life, right? And I think that question of, can it be different? What usually happens is that people go into, oh yes, it could be different and it should be different, and then there's a whole story, right? That's another tip from my side. If you hear yourself talking in terms of could, should, or wish, these type of words, if you use these type of words, that decreases that space between stimulus and response. It should be this and that, and then you're kind of like in fantasy land, and you're not actually in the present moment.
I love that. Yeah, the shoulds, the woulds, the wishes, they're beautiful, beautiful sentiments to allow us a little moment to, if we can sit deep enough into that middle ground and notice when we're doing that. That's the thing. It's like we probably say it so unconsciously. It takes a bit of time. I always say there's a delay. It's like, I'm a musician, it's a delay pedal. It's a delay pedal on when I know that I want to action, picking myself up and noting that I'm saying should, to then actually it becoming an unconscious pattern that I'm continually picking up on that, and then reflecting, how do I change that? How do I shift that should to a more open or expansive or kinder a kind of sentiment, so that I know that, yeah, okay, it shouldn't, and we can laugh it off in a way, really, laugh it off, the fact that I keep on saying I should, because you probably will after, sometimes of trying it, it will probably still happen, but actually the degree of that will start to minimize and lessen with more practice of just noticing. And that noticing comes in that, what you're saying there, in that middle ground. For me, at least, I've discovered that it really only comes in that, because if I'm reacting or just having that, the other sides of the poles that you talk about, then I'm missing out on my picking myself up with actually saying, I'm saying should a lot, aren't I? Even though I know it shouldn't be that way. Oh, shouldn't it be that way? We can laugh it up and say, oh yeah, there we go again. My language is failing me and it's causing me an upset in my mind and life.
Yeah. So maybe, like, as a final remark for this episode, as a kind of maybe as a takeaway, for people, whenever your mind goes into the could, into the should, or the would, or the wish, just ask yourself this question: can it really, really be different? Can you be anywhere else than where you are right now? Well, no, right? Okay, then take that space, take a deep breath, and then just see what comes up, right? Is there anything you'd like to share? Another tip, or is this kind of like,
I think shared that final sentiment so beautifully. I would just say that in that space, sometimes when it can't be different and we really want it to be, we have to be very kind to ourselves, very kind and compassionate, because sometimes we do fall into situations or in a space in which we can't change, and we might have discovered that we found ourselves there. If we're kind and can be compassionate to ourselves to know we can change that. It can change, but it does take time.
Take some stillness, be gentle, and then kick some ass later on.
That'd be the bonus one. Kick some ass.
All right. Hey, Danny, it was a pleasure again talking to you. And yeah, everybody will have future conversations as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and see you next time.
See you next time. I look forward to it. Thank you so much again, for having this space with me and being in this space together. I really just love it. So I look forward to the next one.
All right. See you later then.
See you.
Bye-bye.